Yes, a very warm welcome from Arianna.
And Enrico.
Yes. And tonight we are going on with the topic about sacred waters and healing waters. So this is the third episode about this topic.
Last one.
And the last one. And tonight we are going to have a look at new places connected historically or nowadays with sacred waters. And so we hope that you will enjoy this journey, a journey back in history, but also to some parts of this beautiful planet. So that's it. And for us, it's always a real joy to see you and meet you here on this beautiful Facebook group, which is Bridges of Light International. Yes.
Okay,
So I think we can start. And as usual, we have some slides to show you the places we are going to talk about, so that you can have a better idea of what we are talking about and a better idea of the places.
Hi, Mariella.
Hi, you are always here. Happy to see you again. And we always enjoy your comments. Your presence and your comments. So glad to see you here.
And welcome, everybody is already watching now, even if not posting or saying hello on the chat.
Yes.
And for all the people who is going to see this video later on, of course. We are again.
So we are going to talk about vibrational waters, and we have already talked about the special waters that contain the frequencies of light, all the frequencies of light, and so they have a special vibration, a vibration that doesn't allow bacteria to survive. So these are really special waters. But water has always been considered sacred because without water we cannot survive. And so this element has been worshipped in so many places. In so many places has been considered sacred. And one of these special places is actually Cambodia, and Cambodia of the time of splendor, the time of Angkor, when those beautiful temples, majestic really, and temples that are so huge and big were built in Cambodia.
Hi, Mara, again, here on the screens.
Yes, hello, Mara. Yes.
And so, about Cambodia, two are the most important temples about waters, which are connected also to the cosmic cults. The first one is Valspean. As you can see from the Italian text, it's a very old place which started to be carved, as you can see, out of the bare rock of a mountain, of a highland actually, which are the highlands at the north of the Cambodian sacred plain of Angkor. This area is called the Phnom Kulen, which means Mount Kulen, Nom means mount. So this was a very ancient place where all the Khmer dynasty of Angkor was started, actually, was declared to have been rooted, founded by Jayavarman II, which made this declaration of independence from the Java kingdom, of the Majapahit kingdom of Java. And we really don't know if Cambodia was ever under Java kingdom. Historical people doesn't think so, but probably has happened something, so he decided to declare an independence. And so this is the starting point of all the Angkor kingdom. So it was a very important place, and it is a very sacred place even nowadays for modern Cambodians, which from time to time decide to climb the mountain and come here to pray at this place, because this was really the founding place of old Cambodia. Valspean was a site which began to be frequented by sannyasin, which are Indian culture kind of monastic people who are used to live almost naked in the woods, in an ascetic way, meditating all day long, all year long, fasting and praying and meditating in order to be in contact their Indian gods, typical kind of monastic way of living sacredness, which came from the Indian culture. Cambodia was from the 1st century AD, contacted with Indian ancient cultures. So as you can see, this site is connected to the animistic cults already from the 1st century AD. This is also a very important site for Cambodia, because these highlands is where the spirit of the place is born. The spirit of the place is a spirit of a river, which is represented on the top right corner of screen you are seeing now. That is the way Indian cultures represent the spirit of the rivers. It is called the Naga. Naga is a very big snake, as big as the river, actually. So very gigantic snake, which people were used to talk to for praying and for thanking the waters they were receiving from him. And so Barspéan is a very important place, also for the animistic cults, which are interconnected with the Indian cults, because the Naga is a kind of Indian spirit. And this is the spring of the river, which is going to give water to all the the lands underneath these mountains are actually Angkor Plain, where all the kingdom was living. So this is the origin, real materialistic and spiritualistic origin of the place.
Spiritual, yes. And actually, you really feel this atmosphere when you climb up this mountain. While you walk, you really feel there is something special. There is a special energy, a special mood of the place. It feels really enchanted, you know. And because people are still going there to pray and honor this place, this of course keeps adding this kind of special, subtle energy.
As you can see, there are very ancient bas-reliefs,
which are really, really beautiful.
This is a crocodile. As you can see on the left of the pond, which actually its origins are the 1st century. But there are also many other carvings of later periods, because when Angkor began to build up, it began, the first city actually was Mahendra Parvata, and it was built at the topmost corner of the Phnom Kulen River. Then they decided to move the Angkor empire just underneath those mountains. So in later Indian period, other ascetic people came in and started to carve this kind of symbols that you can see on the bedrock of the river, because that's exactly what they did. They carved the bedrock of the river to make these waters even more sacred, energetic, in order to have energetical waters arriving directly inside the Angkor area. So water was consecrated here in the mountains at their spring in order to have more sacred waters.
Yes. And of course, the energy is really very high there. You know, if we measure the energy, we can actually see that it's really very high.
Those kind of rounded notches that you see here on that part of the picture are a symbol of Yoni Linga. Yoni Linga is a very typical symbol of India. Usually it is represented by a square and a circle inside that square. It is a kind of fountain which is used to consecrate waters, and typically used by Indian priests, Brahmins, and it represents the Yoni and the Lingam. Yoni is actually the female reproductive system, and Lingam is the male reproductive system. So it is a symbol of fertility and generation, which is also one of the most used symbol of Shiva. Shiva is a deity encompassing the whole creation. So the god himself is a symbol of the whole creation. So carving a Yoni Lingam means carving everything which is born out from him, is the cosmos. So it's a very important way to consecrate waters. Usually Brahmins do drop some water from the topmost part of the lingam, which is the male water. It is representing male waters going out of the lingam, and collected by the yoni, because the yoni is a fountain which collects the water, and then it gives up from a part of that fountain. You can just collect this water, which has become sacred. So so it's a kind of water which has been blessed by Shiva and charged with the energies of the creation of Shiva, which is the interconnection of male and female principle.
And from an energetical point of view, when you give an intention, of course, this gives this imprinting into the water, or what you intend anyway to yes, what you intend, yes. Yeah. So it really gives a lot of energy. It amplifies the energy, the vibration of the water itself. And here, of course, we have a river, so the water is continuously in a movement. We have waterfalls, and so this again enhances the vibration itself.
There are actually thousands of yoni lingam carved on the bedrock of this river, so it is called the river of 1000 lingam.
It's so really
to
beautiful.
Consecrate very intense way the waters. The god you are seeing on the last part of the picture, the one which is laying down on the waters, actually is another divinity. It is the cosmic Vishnu, because in Hindu cosmology is very complicated, and actually the Vishnu, which is the keeper of our world, is on an inferior level in comparison to Mahavishnu, the big Vishnu. Maha means big or cosmic Vishnu. And the cosmic Vishnu is the creator of all the galaxies we have in the cosmos. So the little Vishnu is the creator of our planet. Mahavishnu is the creator of the whole cosmos. This means really that these water are charged with cosmic energies, literally, both cosmic and planetary energies.
So it is a wonderful place where to meditate. This is what we did actually when we were there in February, and also, of course, to try other works, you know, like balancing works, or works connected with getting to know ourselves better. And this is also what we did with Laura De Stefano, who was with us, and she was doing her technique of dancing. And so it was a really a special experience to do so in such a place.
The reason why the god is represented reclined is that actually that is a representation of the exact moment in which, symbolically speaking, and according to the legends of India, Mahavishnu created the world, the cosmos. Actually, lotus flowers was born out of his belly, and from that lotus flower that began opening, the god Brahma, which is the creator, came out, and you can see Brahma as a very small statue. It is on the shadows now, so you cannot see it very well. It is just beneath the A of the word Spean. It is represented like in meditation and the god of creation. So that is the very moment in which creation took place according to Indian lore. So let's see some other pictures of the river Kbarspian. As you can see, there are thousands of lingams.
They are all inside the jungle. Very nice place, really enchanting.
Local people many times also come here for the fertility rituals. If they want to have children, of course, the Yoni Lingam represents fertility, so many times come to Bafi.
And they ask for fertility. Yes, they pray and ask for fertility. It was a very common thing. It was very common before the Christian time in Europe as well.
They also did it during Angkor period, directly on the rivers channels that were around the city of Angkor, which was water fed by river. So they really had consecrated water beneath their houses. Really the starting point river with a very small waterfall, and the picture you saw earlier about the crocodile is exactly here, just over the and the second other sacred place for water in Angkor is Neak Pean, but let me check if there are some comments. Yeah, Mariella, everything is so magical, really.
Yeah, it's just like going back to a place that is out of time somehow. Yeah, the feeling that you get when you are there is that one.
Okay. So this was Neak Pean was actually inside the city.
Yeah, and this place really belongs to the period of the splendor of Angkor, and among the many temples that we find there, this is the one that was strictly connected with healing with waters. And so here we find 5 pools, and these pools were connected with the 4 elements plus 1, so the 5 elements.
Here you can see the very big water basin. Actually, this is not the biggest basin in Angkor, which was a reservoir for the summer period in which it really doesn't rain. At the center of this basin, which is actually medium basin, there are 2 other reservoirs which are 3 times bigger than this. At the center of the basin, you see a small island, and here we are crossing the basin.
Yes.
Just think about that. This is a medium small basin.
Yes.
You really cannot see the end of it. And this is the island Arianna was talking about.
Yeah, and it was connected with the elements because, as Enrico was saying before, here in Cambodia, in ancient Cambodia, they followed the Indian tradition. So it was the same with healing. And so they followed the Ayurvedic tradition, which is a lot based on the balance of the 4-5 elements. We need to have our elements in balance in order to be healthy and vital. And so here, the pilgrim that used to come for healing first of all had to go and see one of the priests, and the priests were of course not only priests, they were also doctors, Ayurvedic doctors. And so the first thing was to have a look at the astral chart, because the Indian tradition has always been connected a lot with astrology, and there was a branch of it that was the astrology for health. And so so the diagnosis was actually according to the astral map that shows very well and very clearly the energies we are composed of. And the first kind of energy that you see is really the balance between the 4 elements. So looking at what element was in excess or was actually not very much specified, you know, was lacking, then they would decide which was the pool that you needed for rebalancing your vital energy. It was all about energy then. But for in the astrological tradition, cosmic energy was connected with our own energy. And so people were advised to have a bath in a chapel instead of another one, according to the element that was in excess or lacking.
The central basin actually was connected to the 5th element, which is ether. So the cosmic energy, the cosmic essence from everything is created. So the 4 elements are actually symbolically, they come from ether. So if the imbalance was really important, the person would have to take a bath on the 5th basin, the biggest one, center. And as you can see from this plan, the 4 basins of the 4 elements take waters from the 5th basin, the basin at the center of the cosmos, of the universe. Symbolically, this monument was representing actually Mount Himalaya, which is the center of the universe according to Indian lore, because all the sacred rivers are coming from the Himalaya mountain. And according to their legends, there's a lake in the Himalaya mount where all the gods will take bath. So this sacred lake is the lake of healing waters, and that is why all the gods are never dies. Actually, it was this sacred lake was a lake where the Amrita, ambrosia, the nectar of the gods, is present. It is not water, is an elixir which can give immortal life to the gods, and gods are taking baths there in the Himalayan mountains, and all the waters of the universe are flowing down from that sacred water. This is the representation of it. As you saw it earlier, there's a mountain at the center of the pond. And actually, as you can see, there are 4 chapels connected to the 4 elements. So the horse chapel is connected to the element of air. The lion chapel is connected to the element of fire. The human chapel is connected to the element of the earth, and the elephant chapel is connected to the water element. So the person, in order to have a healing, he should sit beneath the chapel of that element. As you can see, this is the mountain on the right, and on the left you can see the chapel. You can enter that chapel, and are the various chapel. And if you enter the chapel, you will see these masks. So the Brahmin or astrologist would take waters from the main pool and put the waters inside the chapel from behind, and the waters would fall down the head of the person who would sit here. So actually the person would just take sacred waters from the ether basin, charged with the element he was in need, and flowed by a priest.
The quality is the quality that changes in that case, because you give a different intention. You have a different symbolism, giving a different quality of energy.
This is the elephant mask.
Beautiful, yes.
From which the water connected to the element water is
and you see that still nowadays, you see there are flowers, incense, because they are still worshipped. Because even if in Cambodia nowadays they are Buddhists, but some elements of the older tradition are still alive, which is a beautiful thing because they intertwine. It's beautiful. I think that's a very nice thing. They keep some tradition, older tradition alive.
This is the lion mask, as you can see from the teeth.
Yes.
And actually, the plan of the island is bigger than that. You saw just the center of it with the main 5 basins, but this is the plan of the whole island, which actually has 13 basins and a total of 13 chapels. Why is that? Because the 4 elements are connected actually to the 4 cardinal points of the sky, and the 4 fixed. It's an astrology terminology, sorry if you don't know it, but actually there are some signs are cardinals, some zodiacal signs are fixed, and others are mobile. So the 4 element basins are connected to the 4 fixed signs.
They are the signs connected with
the main elements.
Yeah, and the center of the seasons, you know. Of the 4 seasons. Yeah, so there are connections with
The other
12 different
zodiacal signs.
Yeah. So it is a very complex idea, you know, of healing, which is connected with our different energies. And actually, each zodiac sign is linked with some kinds of problems, you know, health problems. They represent different ways of energies.
So you could have absolutely an astral therapy. A therapy which would heal your natal chart and rebalance all your frequencies and energies, because actually Ayurveda and Indian healing lore is totally connected to healing karma before healing sickness. So in order to heal from a sickness, you really need to rebalance your karma, and that's why they use the astral vibration in order to heal the karma, go back in time, heal your reincarnations, because in Vedic astrology you really can calculate all your reincarnations, all your past lives.
Yeah, and what is interesting, historically speaking, is that later on, when Jayavarman VII became the king of the kingdom of Cambodia, and he built many hospitals because he was very much aware of the importance of having healthy people living in the kingdom. He built many hospitals, and in the list of the people working in the hospitals there was always an astrologer, because as we were just saying, in those days astrology and medicine were strictly connected, because we actually are born with special characteristics.
Hi, you and Rebecca.
Oh, hi. Nice to see you again here. Happy to see you. Always happy to see you. It's really a connection that goes on, you know, from last year.
Yeah, and Mariella, nature is really pristine because it's surrounded by jungles. So it's really incredible. It's really natural. Natural and built by humans in a sacred way. So there's an harmony between the sacred temples and the order with which they have been built, and the natural order of the forest, which is a bit chaotic also, not only...
But there is an order. For example, incredible. You see it very well here in this kind of plan of this healing place. It's really, there's really an order, and because people in those days felt a disconnection with the sky, and the sky shows an order in the cycles. This was again represented here on Earth.
As you can see from the plan, all the basins are shaped like a spiral. There's a sacred Indian symbol, which is the swastika, and yes, it is the Nazi swastika, but it's clockwise instead of anti-clockwise. The Nazi swastika is anti-clockwise because it's negative. But it is a sacred symbol from 3,000 years old, 3000 BC. It is the symbol of the sun and the whole cosmos, the whole of the creation. So you can have a representation, as you can see here, you have a representation of the whole cosmos, of the spirals, the swastika and sun. The swastika represent the sun.
Yes.
And also some archaeologists are commenting that the pattern of the petals of the white flower of lotus actually makes a spiral. So again, it is a cosmic and a symbol of Renaissance, of enlightenment.
Yeah, things were really connected, and to those people in ancient days was so important to keep harmony. And if you had an illness or sickness, you were out of this harmony, and you had to go back to that harmony. This was the role of the doctors.
There are another pictures, and the horse you see on the left is called Balaha. It's a reincarnation of Vishnu, an avatar. It is, as you can see, he is saving people from the flooding. This is a Buddhism symbol. So this horse is saving people from the samsara, the cycle of the reincarnations, which is interpreted in this legend like people drowning inside a cycle of reincarnation. And the horse is saving people by letting them jump on his back to be taken out, enlightened, taken out from the samsara.
Yes. When we were there this last February, we actually worked on the astral chart of all the participants, and we did some kind of healing in this place, and many extraordinary things happened because the energy is still there, so it is still working on the people going there if you go there with that intention. And so it was really extraordinary what happened there.
So we'll travel again to Indonesia, this time on the island of Bali. We have taken a plane of 4 hours, more or less, from Cambodia to come to Tampak Siring, which is a sacred town about waters in Bali.
Yeah, it is a temple, and here every full moon people gather, and you see there are lots of them. People gather in order to get this purification, cleansing, which is of course an inner cleansing through this water, which is considered sacred.
One thing I forgot to tell you, actually, I'll go back to the plan. Actually, during the year, which has 12 months, every time the full moon will be in a different zodiacal sign. So these waters in Cambodia were not used only for healing, but also for the purification rituals. Every month they would purify themselves with a ritual cleansing which took place on the basin connected to the zodiacal sign of that month's full moon.
Yeah, and of course it has a different kind of vibration. So here we have the same kind of thing, because we have like 12 mouths where you get the water from, and there are 13, so people get a cleansing from each of them except the 13th, because that is considered in their vision, it is considered the water of death, so they do not get a cleansing from the 13th.
You only get a cleansing there after your death and your burning cremation ritual. When you get cremated, you will have a purification with that mouth in order to help you go to the cosmic planes, because it is again connected to
it is really quite an event to be able to watch this kind of ritual that we see here, because you see dozens and dozens of people get into the place, and they have huge offerings, because offering is really a very important part of the rituals of the people from Bali. And then you see these people you know, entering the waters, and very slowly, and always with a smile, waiting for their turn, you know. It's always with a smile, because these people are really always so peaceful.
As you can see in Asia, purification is literal, is not symbolic. So in order to purify yourself, you really have to take a bath.
Yes,
inside healing water. It's not just some drops
that's right,
from the priest. You really have to take a complete bath and go with your head beneath the spring. And also in Cambodia they do the same. Not from the basins, actually. Basins now are there's not fresh water, so they are not using the ancient basins. But Buddhist monks still do nowadays this ritual. And if you ask a Buddhist monk to be purified by him, he will consecrate the water, and he will give you at least half an hour ceremony in which he will continuously drop water, gallons of water. I don't know the exact.
In Bali, you're talking about Bali.
Also in Cambodia, and everywhere in Buddhism. If you ask a Buddhist monk to be purified, a Buddhist monk will just completely wash you.
But, it's the same in Bali. When you ask for healing from a healer, local healer, the first part of the healing ceremony is always purification. But of course, because when you believe in karma, purification is so important, because you need to purify your karma, you know, and so your bad actions or thoughts, let's say, in a simple way. So it's really beautiful. And here it's another temple, Goagaja, with these women, you know, pouring out water from their stomach. And again, this is a very purifying water and vibrational. Beautiful place, this one as well.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest sites in Bali, which has 2 basins, and these women are representing all the 7 sacred waters of India. There are 2 basins with 3 women each, and then so 6 women, 6 rivers, and the 7th at the center of the 2 basins. So these are the 7 sacred rivers of India, from which comes the sacred waters I told you about. They all come from the Himalaya mountain and that sacred lake, where gods and goddesses take back.
Yeah, beautiful experience. And talking about ancient civilizations, a civilization that gave a lot of importance to water was the Etruscan one in Tuscany. So here we are talking about quite a long time ago, because it's in between, starting from the 7th century BC, and the lake of Bolsena was actually their omphalos, their central point, so where they used to gather for their very important ceremony. And the Etruscans were people who had priests guiding the communities. So they had a very strong spiritual imprinting. This is a volcanic lake. It was actually made out of volcano, and it is very big, and it was their center. So water again had a very, very important role. And here we have another view of the lake. Just inside the lake there is a small island, which was the very center of their civilization. It was a very interesting civilization, very much advanced. And here again, just like in ancient India or Cambodia, there was a strict connection with the skies and with astrology. So again, the priests were astrologers, and the Etruscans divided their land always into 12 parts according with the 12 zodiac signs. So different place, a big distance, but the same kind of vision. Here we have another view of this lake, which I think is the biggest volcanic lake on the whole planet, if I remember well. Yes.
And it was the place where ancient rituals took place.
Ceremonies. Yes.
Of course, Etruscans were occupying almost all the center of Italy, so it was very extended area, but this was really the center of their cosmos. And it reminds me actually again of the Indian culture and the temples of Angkor, which are representation of the whole cosmos. So you have at the center the first mountain that came out from the waters. You remember Mahavishnu was lying down on the waters. From those cosmic waters, the mountain of center of the creation, the omphalos, came out, and so the temples in Cambodia are representation of all their cosmos, which was a mandala cosmos. You have a sacred mountain at the center. You have land around, divided into 7 layers. The central mountain had 7 layers, which are the 7 layers of the Hindu cosmos. So 7 levels, 7 mountains, let's say. The 7 mountain chains which are around Himalaya. And then you have the land, and after the land of the world, you will have a wall concluding the world, and after the walls, you have the infinite waters, which were the waters where Mahavishnu was laying down. He was actually laid down in Dattara. In a bamboo boat. So he let down this boat, watching raft, exactly, in a bamboo raft, looking down at the creation he was giving birth to.
But as we were saying at the very beginning of this new live show, we were saying that water was so important because it gives life. Without water,
always around the world,
and
the land.
What I always underline is that even if cultures can be very far apart. Many times we find the same kind of rituals and visions, because if you actually observe nature, you get to the same kind of vision, of course, of understanding of how things work. And for this reason, you actually find same answers. It's inevitable, and that's why we find similar visions. Yeah. Are there any other comments or?
Not really. Amazing, of course. Connected, all the elements connected with the all the aspects of life. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we are actually running out of time,
Yeah,
Enrico.
again, of course.
Yes, and so I think we will have to say goodbye to the people watching. I don't think we have more time to underline other things. I don't. So we will stop here, and we will be glad to see you back here next Monday, same time, 9 p.m. Italian time and 8 p.m. British time. And so see you next week, and have a great week to all of you. And really thanks a lot for watching.
Take care.
Take care.